Welcome to Nintendo Ninja News. I'm your host, Chris Tysus, and we're here to talk about something a little bit different today. We're talking about our STIR grant that we won 2 years ago. That was $1,000 and was based on a voting system. Now, there isn't really any videos on YouTube that actually talks about the STIR grant because in our first 3 months of Nintendo Ninja News' life, we were mainly a podcast show. So that's why you don't see really any videos between March to July. In terms of that first 3 to 4 months, that's what we were doing. And we changed this idea from audio to video because YouTube has bigger exposure and camera, I think, gives you a lot more opportunities. And it is about video games, so it is more of a visual sort of aspect to it. Now, our situation was pretty bleak in terms of trying to find voters because our subscription base was virtually zero, and we had to go out and really find people because Nintendo Engineers, after 3 or 4 months, still didn't really have much of a fan base or networks or lots of groups that we know of today, and that is an issue for us during the grant. So there were all these sort of other creative projects slash mainly businesses, you know, startup businesses that were dying for votes and things like that, and we were up against all sorts of ideas from combs to board game makers and things like that, and our one was really the only main video game type thing that you could do. Now, I think there may have been 1 or 2 video game makers in the grant that were trying to get votes, but there's definitely more in the season 2 and 3, it seems. We may have made a trending there based on our success of just doing a YouTube channel. And I think our main case was to really be clear about what Nintendo Ninja News was about, was providing news directly to you, which is our sort of tagline now, and sort of trying to create that narrative or that story for people to understand. And I think that some of the businesses don't do that, or some of the grant people, you know, trying to create the story of what your business is really about, and sort of just a short line and something like that. There was also the difficulties of, you know, what could we really showcase to people, because we weren't really selling a product or anything like that, so we couldn't really do much physical stuff. So we brought around, you know, at one STIR event, we brought around the Wii U and lots of plushies and stuff from the background. We sort of set it up like that, and we had like the, we had a laptop there, my old one, that I used to start up the show, there with the website and YouTube and things like that. So the interesting thing was trying to find a way to give us a physical presence when really we're just an online service. So that was a difficult thing for us. So what we did was I really looked for Nintendo groups and places like that online, and started talking about the grant and just reaching out to all sorts of different people. Because I've been online for a long time in other projects like a football forum board and a writing forum board, and being a writer myself, that also had a lot of people from many years ago that would probably support, you know, another crazy idea of mine or another creative project that I'm putting together. And this seemed a bit more, you know, it was a way to call in all the favors that I've done and helped people over many years. And this is, you know, look, this is a chance to win a grant here, and this is my opportunity, and we're going to go for it. We're going to see how it turns out. And I think that was a good story to people who know me pretty well and things like that. Where to random people online and people that I didn't know, you had to really set up the Stir page to really give them a very good picture of what your business is about. And that's something that we did work on quite a bit. You know, we got help from a few others online about what it should say and what it shouldn't say, and what details to put in and leave out. And I think that's good to sort of have it sort of edited by other people and people who've done businesses and proposals and things like that. And I think that was important for Nintendo Ninja News and doing that sort of thing. And I think that there was the other important thing with the grant was that we pretty much guaranteed that this $1,000 would really fund most of the whole project idea, and it can lift up and go and do things. And we were right about that, because you can see the grant money here, you know, the microphone here and the camera and even the video recorder, because we spent up to 12 months spending the whole grant, where I think many other businesses and grant recipients or receivers would have just thrown the whole $1,000 into advertising, or, you know, making early copies of something of their product. And you wouldn't really see it in a physical sense. But, you know, with the YouTube show, you do see that. And the thing was up and running, you know, it was getting views, and it sort of really, I think essentially the grant enabled us to fast track a lot of things. And that's why you probably saw that good success of last year, because we had a very quick, you know, 6 months of putting everything together and building it up, and we sort of got on our feet a lot quicker than it would have been without it. So I think that was pretty good too. And I also think with businesses and that, I noticed that talking to a few and some of the grant people I did a week or two ago, they seem to mainly only think about the ultimate goal, which is right at the end. And running a business, or, you know, Nintendo Ninja News is very much like a marathon. You know, people have their eyes on the finish line, but they most likely will trip up in front of their own feet because they're not watching what's happening in front of them immediately. You know, so you got to start your business small and then gradually grow, instead of trying to do everything at once and try to open up this mega business with people you're hiring here and there. So I think that's something that they need to do, is to sort of start off small and just grow it when you can. And I think also too that, you know, for Nintendo News, and I think in Nintendo in general, and those special companies out there and businesses, you know, you don't want you to like your company. You want them to love your business. You know, Nintendo's beloved. It's got so many, you know, people have their favorite Pokemon, or their favorite is Mario or Pikachu or Samus or Link or Zelda or Kirby. And they have all these sort of beloved characters that people buy into and they enjoy a lot. And I think that's what businesses should be aiming for. You know, having a mascot is a good idea, and a bit of a narrative to it. Even my web host company has these little dinosaur sort of mascots, which are actually quite popular because they look really cool and cute and all that sort of stuff. The dinosaur is not in this room, but yes, he does look very cool. My cat likes it. So an idea for businesses. But overall, I think with the Stir grant, I think the hardest part is really putting together your proposal that you put online and trying to find those voters. You're going to find people who are interested in your project and as passionate as you are, and finding lots and lots of friends, you know, friends of friends and friends of friends and friends, and just, you know, advertise it and doing all that sort of thing. Heck, you could even do letterboxing if you're getting that desperate. In terms of finding votes and that, finding Facebook groups and things on social media and Twitter and things like that will help too. And, you know, also to your current fan base, if you're a business that's just starting off and needs a bit of a leg up in terms of financial costs and equipment and things like that, it would be very good too. So, but I was very relieved to win it and happy, and it was very stressful the last few days trying to count the votes in and seeing if we were going to stay in that top 15 or not. And we eventually did, which was great. And we weren't the top vote getter, because there was a few that really did well. They had lots of people and support behind them, so they really worked hard on that. But I think for Nintendo Ninja News, I think we did one again this year or next year. I think that we would be in a pretty good position to do better than last time, and maybe even grab a grant again for some other project. So, and that's because of the fan base and that we've grown, and we know quite a few people now and ways of getting votes and that. So, you know, we've learned a few things the last couple of years, and we didn't have this background. We had we didn't even have the microphone, and the sound wasn't very good, and the video was a bit funny at times, and we were on an old laptop, which took a long time to render videos and things like that. Now we use a better computer and stuff like that. You know, you've noticed some big changes here at Nintendo Ninja News the last couple of years. So I think that's pretty much how I did the Stir Grant. It's fun and exciting and stressful all at the same time. But I think it's going to be interesting to see what the future grant receivers will do. And we'll have a look at some of the grants currently, and we've got a couple in mind to support and see what happens with that. But be interesting to see how the future goes. So that's it for me, and I shall see you later on.